sure I got the target in sight. Over.
Mike Sierra, you're cleared hot. Over.
Copy that.
Any last words? Suit yourself. Ladies and gentlemen, there are quite possibly very few points in human history that are quite as iconic and aesthetic as the 1980s. From the insane hairstyles to the extreme innovations in technology and the absolute explosion of the popular culture at the time with movies, series such as Rocky, Star Wars, and of course Red Dawn. That definitely influenced American society and the society internationally as a whole. While most of us weren't born in the 80s, myself being born in the early 2000s, still nevertheless look at this time with a rose-tinted sense of nostalgia. And the same can most definitely be said for the military kit that was used by the United States military at the time. So today on Managing Success, we're going to be going over the LBV-88, the features and functions of this vest, as well as the history behind it. So without further ado, let's go ahead and break down this piece of iconic military history. And you may be asking yourself, why would I care about a piece of kit that is almost 40 years old? Well, I'll tell you why. First of all, it's stripped as hell. That's not the main point. Second of all, it's still a very versatile piece of kit and still serves a very important role. It helps you carry your load. It's a load bearing vest. So the reason why you should care about the LBV-88 is that it was one of the first modern load-bearing vests that the U.S. military had adopted, and without the LBV-88, we wouldn't have our beloved FLC, which, you know, I love the FLC, one of my favorite things. So without the LBV, we wouldn't have the FLC, and to a smaller degree, we also wouldn't have the TAPS rig too. Because I know there are plenty of people out there that do like the TAPS rig, and if you know I'm wrong in saying that, just let me know in the comments. But without the FLC or without the LBV, you won't have the FLC or the TAPS rig. So that is why this is, to me, is a very influential piece of kit. With that little bit of context, because I'm a big context guy, I love my context, and you know, context is important, especially when talking about military history and military kits. Let's go ahead and break down the features and functions of the LBV-88. It's a pain in the ass being so tall. Not really. Alright, so now that I've taken the vest off my body, we can actually dive further into the features and functions of this vest. Now, starting off with the front of the vest, we have space for 6 magazines total, because there's 4 magazine pouches. 2 of them are double magazine pouches. 2 of them are single mag pouches. I don't know why they didn't just make them both double mag pouches. I kind of feel like that would be more useful. Instead of having 6 mags, you have 8 mags, and I don't know. I'll get into that later. 4 mag pouches, 6 mags total. You can only use them with your standard AR magazines. You cannot use them with AK magazines or FAL magazines or M14 mags. Anything that's not 5.56, you can only pretty much use them with AR magazines. Now, if I'm wrong, feel free to let me know in the comments. I'm also, because I'm kind of retarded. So now, moving on to these 2 pouches under the magazine pouches. We have 2 GP/grenade pouches. Now these are great for holding your playing cards. If you have playing cards while you're out in the field, bored, play some cards. Or you can hold your Zens if you're a little caffeine fiend. You can hold lighters. I'm just taking shit up off my desk. But you can hold lighters, any small trinkets that you have. Not trinkets. I mean, if you like pick up some weird shit off the ground, you can just put it in the pouch, I'm sure. Now you can also put like a multi-tool in there. You can put a little flashlight. And the possibilities with these pouches are endless. Personally, my favorite use is those little grind pouches. You just put them in there. It fits like a glove. Trust me, I know my caffeine. Now, moving on to the adjustment points of the vest. There are 2 on the front, directly below shoulder level, or kind of around that area, to kind of adjust how tight you want it to fit to your body. Now I know the camera's cutting my head in half, so just deal with it, because I'm tall. I'm trying my best here, alright? Anyways, now to the rear of the vest. That was a nice flip. There are also 2 more adjustment points here to adjust how tight or loose you want the vest to fit to your body. Now, personally, I think you want a little bit tighter to your body, so it's not moving around. It's all loosey-goosey when you're doing your high-speed LARPing shenanigans or whatever. I don't know. That's pretty much all there is to the back of the vest. There's not really much else. You can see it says US there, because, you know, this is from the US, the greatest country on earth, hands down. That's the rear. There's nothing crazy. So let's flip it back over. Boom. Now there is a spot for you to put an Alice belt. So I think one of the coolest things about this whole vest isn't the vest itself, it's the fact that you can attach an Alice belt and then customize that belt to your needs. Now you can put some extra magazine pouches to bump up that limited 6 magazine capacity. And I put 2, 3 magazine pouches that you would typically see on Alice webbing. That would immediately double your magazine carrying capacity from 6 to 12, which in a firefight, the more ammo the better. I mean, it's just like math, I guess, I don't know. I failed math in high school, so you know, it is what it is though. And yeah, I mean, that's yeah.
That you had.
So now that we've gone over the features and functions of this vest, let's dive into the history behind the vest, because history is cool, and especially when it comes to military history. Yes, I am autistic, if you couldn't tell already.
Ladies and gentlemen, just a quick PSA for y'all. Please make sure you're subscribed to the official Managing Success YouTube channel, because if you don't and you just suck, sucking is bad. And I don't want y'all to suck, because I love and care about y'all. So, with that being said, I hope you all enjoy the rest of the video.
Alright, nerds. History lesson. So, the LBV-88 was designed in the mid to late 80s. It was designed to replace the Alice web system, like the webbing system that I mentioned earlier. Now, to my knowledge, it did not fully replace it. However, it did kind of integrate with the Alice system. As I mentioned previously, you could use Alice belts, the Alice pouches on the Alice belts. Alice was very modular. It's very great, still is a very great platform to this day, in my opinion, and it has its strengths. It also has its weaknesses, but that's a different topic for a different day. Now, the reason why it didn't fully replace the, at least to me personally, would have been the kind of the limits that this vest had compared to, you know, standard Alice webbing. However, it would still continue to serve throughout the 80s, throughout the 90s, and into the 2000s. It would English is fucking hard. It would inevitably be replaced by my personal favorite piece of kit, the FLC. And everyone loves the FLC, believe me. Now, the LBV-88s were made in like a litany of different colors. You know, you have standard M81 God's Plaid, everyone's favorite, most common variant. There's also a variant that was completely black. There's actually a black LBV that was featured in one of my favorite TV shows, Falling Skies. It's a fun little show about alien invaders coming to destroy Earth, and it's a really underrated show. I really enjoyed it, and that's also one of the reasons why I really love the LBVs, because the characters was seen wearing it. And also, I believe there was a UCP variant of the LBV when I was looking up images of it. I don't know if those are a military issue or if those are civilian produced that weren't issued to the military. I don't know. I just know that I've seen a couple images of UCP'd out LBV-88s floating around. So it's possible. I'm not 100% sure on that. Now, if I'm wrong, again, please let me know in the comments. I always enjoy hearing your feedback on these things. So that is a brief history of the LBV-88. But before I give you my final thoughts and opinions, I did want to mention that there are two versions of the LBV-88. Now you have the original LBV-88, and then you have the enhanced LBV-88. What I'm wearing is the enhanced LBV-88. As you can see, it's got a mesh. It's based on like a mesh material. The original ones were completely. They did not have the mesh material. It was just standard fabric at the time. And the reason why they replaced it with the mesh fabric instead of just solid fabric is that soldiers would complain that the LBV would trap a lot of body heat, making it uncomfortable for long periods of time. So the military said, "Bet we'll fix that shit for you." Surprisingly enough, and they fixed it and made it much more breathable for the wearer. Now, with that being said, I will give you my final thoughts and opinions on the LBV-88. So, overall, I think the LBV-88 is an extremely iconic piece of American military history, just along with anything that was in service with the U.S. military at the 80s. I just think that entire era is just such a fucking vibe. It's just immaculate. It's perfect. I don't know why we decided to retire ME-1. It's kind of crazy, but anywho, I think the LBV-88 is an extremely aesthetic piece of military kit. But with that being said, nostalgia can only go so far, and you kind of gotta analyze and kind of break down the kit to see that it does have quite a bit of shortcomings. Now, the biggest shortcoming is the lack of modularity, aside from the belt, which that does give it some modularity, but overall, you're still fairly limited to what you can actually carry on the body. Like I said, just base model of the vest, just the base vest itself minus the actual belt. You can only carry 6 magazines on you and a limited amount of supplies in the 2 GP pouches. For a load-bearing vest is suboptimal, to say the least. Then again, you do have the ability to add a vest and you can carry the load on your hips. So, like I said, the lack of modularity is offset by the fact that you can use a belt with this, which to some might be a really good thing, but to others might be a deal breaker. Now, where I do think the LBV-88 shines in is, and some of the areas that it shines in, would be the fact that you can still find these at surplus stores and online for relatively cheap, meaning that these are a great piece of kit that you can get for yourself. They won't break the bank at all, and you can also give these out to your friends as a loaner piece of gear because it's very easy to use, very simple to use, and very lightweight as well. Even when fully loaded, it doesn't weigh that much, which is another big plus, especially for a load-bearing vest. They're also very, very, very simple to use. Even a smooth-brained retard such as myself was able to figure it out very quick. My final thoughts on the LBV-88 is it is still a very, very useful piece of kit. It is, very great for someone who is starting out in the military surplus space because they're, like I said, they're fairly cheap and very easy to obtain. This was one of my first pieces of military surplus that I ever got. So for that reason, it's very near and dear to me and very near and dear to many other collectors out there as some of their first pieces of kit. So it is a very special piece of military history that still, can serve even to this day. Still very useful, is what I'm trying to say, without rambling on like an autistic person. I do that. I have a bad habit of doing that. So So with that being said, I think that's going to do it for today. Make sure you like and subscribe with those post notifications turned on to ensure your success in life. Because if you're not successful, then you just suck, and sucking is lame. You don't want to suck because that's bad. Sucking is bad, succeeding is good. All right, have a good one. Peace. HQ, this is Mike Sierra. The target has been neutralized, over.
With that, Mike Sierra, stand by for exfil, over.
Copy that, over.